All right, so we're gonna start this off with some rumors.
Rumors.
Yes,
Boxing rumors?
you remember that song back in the day in the
I
80s?
do.
Get all them rumors down to me every day. Oh yeah. Oh, anyway, yeah, but
You
boxing
sing a
rumors.
lot. You sing a lot on the show. I wonder if that's like a dormant thing of yours.
I actually know it's not dormant.
You have
Everybody,
a good voice. I've heard you sing.
I
I
appreciate
think you
that.
want everyone else to. I think you want everyone else to hear you sing.
I sing everywhere I go.
I know, but they don't know your freestyle skills either.
Oh yeah, they don't know that. They don't know that. But I sing everywhere I go. So
All right,
everybody who's around me any length of time has probably heard me sing.
but we digress.
We do. We digress, and I don't want to die or
Rumors.
so. Yes, let's go into the rumors. This is all we have right now, for the most part, in boxing until people start actually throwing hands again.
Right.
But this rumor is about a very prominent boxer potentially throwing hands sometime in the future or sometime this year. Longtime boxing professional Rick Glaser has been on this beat. And so we got to give him credit for being on this beat. He's been talking about this a lot. He said it's looking more like Floyd. Obviously, we're talking about Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Broner fight is going to happen. Just got a call from someone, quote unquote, in the know about it, saying, Rick, how did you know that? I replied, this is a situation that I wish I was wrong. Shaking my head. Hashtag bad boxing. Hashtag boxing. So he's referring to someone asked him, how did you know that? Because he had an earlier tweet where he was saying that he'd heard that it was happening. So, I mean, the whole conversation around Floyd possibly coming back just never ends. It's an ongoing thing all the time. So I don't know. This is actually a fight that I predicted, I want to say maybe 5 to 6 years ago. And I said that it would be billed as like the student and the pupil, the person who tried to pattern themselves after Floyd and the whole nine. There, I'm gonna go deep into the hip hop world right now, Peter. So you stay
Okay.
with me.
Go.
AZ, aka Anthony Cruz, came up with Nas. He first appeared on the Life's a B song. He had like the first verse on there was visualizing the realism and life and actuality. It's awesome.
Right.
Song. So he actually has a line in a song. He says, see me, I'm just as foul as you, but you don't got no style in you. And to me, I've always thought that line really kind of.
So it was like a diss track?
It wasn't a diss track. It's all hip hop almost is a diss track because you're dissing like this imaginary.
But was it geared towards someone specific?
No, it's always like you're talking about this imaginary foe that may or may not be there.
I didn't know if you were saying that it was against like Nas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's not Nas. It wasn't against Nas. It wasn't against Nas. Him and Nas were cool. But this was, to me, I've always thought that line perfectly embodied Floyd and Broner.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because it's almost like Broner comes out and he has this in your face kind of a persona, and that's the persona because it's not him. And if you've ever met him, you know that that's not generally how he is, like in normal conversation. But it's always like he's trying to be this as polarizing of a figure in the same way that Floyd is. He wants to be the villain, but what I think he always missed on is Floyd knew when to pull it back and knew when to handle business to make sure that in the ring, he was always successful. So to me, I think that part where, see me, I'm just as foul as you, but you don't have no style in you. You don't have the style. You don't have the refinement to really pull off this persona that you're trying to pull off. And so based on that whole entire concept, I was like, there's a fight that could be built using that because promotion is storytelling when you do it really well.
Right.
And so if you're going to promote a fight, you need to tell a story. And there's a story there to be told if they did it properly, which could mask the fact that Broner hasn't fought or beaten anybody in a long time and that Floyd probably shouldn't still be fighting.
Right.
But if you tell the story properly, I know that people would be engaged. What do you think about that?
So let's give a little bit of context, first of all. Okay, so let's two things. One, 5 or 6 years ago, it could have been a little bit more compelling and sellable.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, giving some context to Rick Glazer. For people that don't know, Rick is an insider. Rick is a part of boxing that is a necessity. He knows every opponent that exists. He often supplies a lot of opponents for a lot of shows. He also provides a lot of sparring for world champions and, high-level contenders. So, it's not a stretch that Rick might have gotten wind of something. Maybe there's been talk about potential sparring necessities. Maybe there's been talk of this guy talks to that guy that gets back to Rick. Like I said, he's probably talking 15 hours a day to boxing people, from the grassroots level up. So the fact is right now, I think like Rick's the only person that is talked about, right? Like it hasn't been by anyone. Broner hasn't said anything. No. Floyd hasn't, no one said anything. So here's the thing. Normally, when something is untrue, someone automatically comes out and goes, no. They refute it because it's really not true. And we can, we'll be talking about another topic later where I can say to you, hey, this rumor is not true. So the fact that in a few days, because I know that he's put this out there a few days ago on Twitter, and then he's doubled down on it. Now basically saying that someone called him or messaged him to validate what he heard by saying, how did you know about that?
Right.
Leads me to believe maybe there is some validity to it. I have no idea. I haven't talked to anybody. I wouldn't know. But at this stage of the game, let's just, it's interesting, right? Because the only person that has anything to gain is Adrien Broner. Floyd has nothing to gain by fighting Broner.
Right. Certainly not from a legacy standpoint, but
it's all risk. It's all risk. And the other thing is, if you really believe that Floyd does care about Adrien Broner, like we've seen in time of need, where he's kind of taken him under his wing, I think, and shown some emotional support, it might be hard to sell any fight based around bad blood.
I don't know that you have to sell it as bad blood.
Well, I'm just saying to have some sort. I'm trying to say, what other reason would you really want to see that fight?
The biggest reason, honestly, and it is going to be a mud-slinging, trash type of, and when I say trash, I don't mean trash
I know, promotionally.
Yeah, that's the
dialogue.
That's what it's going to be. And that there is a large group that will follow and will get into that, especially if that promotion starts anytime in the next month or so, when we still don't have live fights. I mean, I'm assuming we probably get our first live boxing show in the middle to end of June at maybe beginning of July. So if there could actually be some legitimate confirmation that this is going to happen in September, and then people start talking about it or validating it soon, then it still has some time to build. I could even see Floyd doing something like the first night boxing comes back, he comes and announces, I'm fighting Broner. I could totally see Floyd doing that.
Right. So let me say, there's something I've learned over the past few years. And that is not to underestimate Adrien Broner's draw.
Oh, I definitely have learned that.
So that's number one. I think he still brings the biggest numbers on Showtime.
Yes.
And so that's one. Don't underestimate that, right? And the other thing is Floyd brings them no matter what.
No matter what.
So with the current climate being that people would be hungry for boxing to come back and to have some big fights, maybe sometimes it just is what it is.
Yeah, it is. And this is simply Exactly.
And Floyd's taking risk.
Yes.
Because if Floyd does lose, he's just given Broner a real second lease on his career at only 30 years old.
And maybe that's what he's willing to sacrifice, because
he'll make some money.
And he'll make some good money.
But he's not going to sacrifice a loss. Not for anybody.
It doesn't.
But you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't feel like he would. But if he did, perhaps Broner is the guy that he'd be willing to put over in that way. And I hate to use a wrestling term as if it's scripted, but that's essentially what it's kind of like when you look at, and because promotion, I know people sometimes hate the mentions of professional wrestling when we're talking about MMA and boxing, but promotion is promotion, and the status levels of the stars are somewhat, similar. So when you have a legend like a Floyd, you can kind of compare him to someone who's like the Undertaker or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And a guy on the Undertaker's level would have say over whether he loses to this particular guy or not. And obviously not saying that Floyd would go in there to lose.
Floyd's not.
But
wrestling's fake. Wrestling's fake.
Listen to what I'm saying. I've already covered that, and I'm saying something else now. What I'm saying is, obviously Floyd's not going to go in there and say I'm going to lose. But whenever you are taking a risk, you are understanding that there is a chance. So you're, with Floyd being a person who is going to take all factors into consideration, he'll look and say, okay, obviously I don't want to lose, but if I had to lose, is this a fight or is this an opponent that I could take losing to if I did? So I'm not saying that that's the mindset. I'm saying it's not a permissible mindset.
Well, it's not the mindset, and Floyd wouldn't be getting into a fight to help progress the rest of Adrien Broner's career, and he wouldn't be risking his legacy, which is extremely important to him.
Yeah, I have some reason to believe that perhaps some of Floyd's motivation and some piece of what makes Floyd tick has somewhat changed recently. And I'm not trying to say he's Manny Pacquiao now, but based off what has happened with him in the first portion of this year, I'm not sure that the same things that were driving him are all the same things that have driven that will drive him now. So I'm just saying, and like I said, I would never suggest that he's going to go out there to lose. I don't think he would do that. I just don't. I think he's too much of a competitor to do that. But perhaps he is willing to take a little bit more of a risk. Perhaps he is looking to actually not necessarily control every single aspect of it. And so when you do that, you're putting yourself in a more of a position to potentially take an L. I would still favor Floyd if he trains to beat Broner, but it's a fight, and we'll see what happens. But
I mean, look, if Rick's willing to reveal his source, then we can have him on here and you can reveal it and tell us why it's happening.
Right.
But other than that, it's just Twitter.
It's just Twitter. It's just Twitter. But sometimes certain people's Twitter drives a little bit more information.
Yeah. Hashtag quarantine crazy. Although it's not that Rick's not getting credible information. It just might be accurate information.
Right. It could come from a credible person, but it could be inaccurate. Exactly.
Right.
You're right.